he has over a decade of experience in insurance industry. So Sam, welcome to Mount Vernon News Center, sir. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on this lovely Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving Eve to you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Where have you been? When I put the tease out and let everyone know that we're going to be doing this, a few people reached out saying, yeah, where is Sam? Where has he been? So what's up? Where have you been?
I've been around working. I'm still here.
Yeah. You're just not in the, I guess, in the political reporting scene.
I'm still abreast of what's going on. I'm still in tune with what's going on. Just because I am not here doesn't know that I am not focused on the issues.
Right.
There's other people that have stepped up. I don't have to be the for charges. A city of 68,000 residents. I'm only one person.
It's true. All right, well, listen, thanks again for joining me this afternoon. We've got some serious issues that are pending right now that you and I have talked about. There was a fire over at 30 Cottage Avenue, a very well-known building in the community, 100-year-old pre-war historical building. Some may consider historical. It suffered a really bad fire last Sunday, a roof fire that started on the 7th floor. They're saying that it started on an apartment on the 7th floor that spread to the roof, and it became a very stubborn fire. It took about 9 hours to put that thing out, and so we're now switching gears. Residents are now anxious to get out of this temporary mode. They're thinking and planning long term what to do, how to do things, where to go, how to get there. And so I really wanted to bring you on because you have experience, right? And these types of incidents. Right. So you and I talked off base. So for people who may not be familiar, can you explain what exactly is a public adjuster? Like, what do you guys do?
Well, a public adjuster is we work specifically, and we employed specifically by the policyholder, meaning the insured or the homeowner. And our job is to maximize the recovery or the settlement on the claim on behalf of the policyholder. So, for example, the landlord of the building, I'm not working for the landlord, but the landlord of the building, we would help him get the most money from the insurance company, because the insurance company has their adjusters, and they come out and they adjust the claim as they see fit. And most of the time, the policyholder or the insured has no one representing their interest. So it's considered as, like, I told people, would you go to court facing a big crime without a lawyer? So we aren't lawyers, but we advocate and we maximize the recovery on your behalf.
Got it. So your job is to maximize the claim within the bounds of the policy and to kind of move the process along as smoothly as possible.
Correct. The average person doesn't know. Oftentimes there's money hidden in the policy. They don't know the difference between the replacement cost and actual cash value, and it's cumbersome. They're not going to want to, compile a list of inventory of, age and condition, where, as experts, this is what we do on a daily basis, and we have teams and we have the resources and the technology to put this together rather quickly. And for, most of the people, from what I understand, in that building did not have any renter's insurance.
But as far as your knowledge, how much of your work involves multifamily buildings, such as the one like Cottage Avenue, 30 Cottage Avenue?
A lot. I did a building in the Bronx. It was 120 units. So, and in Mount Vernon mostly, and these surrounding areas, mostly it's very densely populated, and 9 times out of 10 it's a multifamily dwelling.
Got it. But back to the fire. Let's talk about the fire at 30 Cottage Avenue, and that displaced more than 200 people. Residents, as I mentioned earlier, are anxious to retrieve their belongings, to get into, get what they can get, and understand. I want you to explain, what comes next. What should they expect in a situation like this? Now, because, here's the thing, the fire department and investigators secured the scene. So we've completed that phase. There has been some limited escorted access for item retrieval, but I think we're up to the point where the insurance and the engineering assessments. And so tell us what's next for these residents. What should they plan for? But tell us what's next.
Well, they should plan to be out of this building for maybe about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, to be honest with you. And that's if everything is going on par, with the city inspections, the insurance company. Right now it's displaced, but a lot of people, especially, you have a lot of people. How should I say? You had a lot of people that didn't trust banks, that lived in that building, so their money was in their mattress. They have to recover their personal property. I don't know when they're going to be allowed to do that, or if they're going to be allowed to do that. So then that building is 100 years old. You have asbestos. There's a very big problem, which I can imagine there's asbestos in that building. So it has to be attested. Before you have any demolition permit that's issued from the city of Mount Vernon. You have to make sure that there's no asbestos. If there is asbestos, it has to be abated, and that asbestos abatement can take a very long time for that building. It's massive, and the issue is and usually those old roofs. And my theory why it burned so quickly, you had roof layer on top of roof layer on top of roof layer, which is very flammable with the tar, so it burned very quickly. So now if that roof contained asbestos and the pressure of the water that, the millions of gallons was poured on that fire, so now everything collapsed into that dwelling. You have to treat the whole building as asbestos-containing material, which the whole scene has to be abated. So now it becomes a safety issue with the tenants' belongings. That is part of the asbestos-containing material. So it's not that the fire department does not want them to go back in, or the building department does not want them to go in. They may not be able to go back in because there's very serious safety concerns regarding asbestos. Mm-hmm. We don't know. I didn't go in the building. All that water pouring down. You had 5 or 6 ladder trucks. Thousands and thousands and pounds of PSI and millions of gallons. That you probably can see straight through from the roof to the basement. And if that's the case, it's a very, very big problem with those tenants' belongings here. I don't think they're going to be able to recover anything if it's deemed that they tested as asbestos. Everything has to be treated as asbestos-containing material, which is very unfortunate, and everything has to be discarded, specifically in accordance, with the law.
So, this, like as you mentioned earlier, this is an older pre-war building that was grandfathered under passcodes. Now that it's been severely damaged, how long does it take typically to bring a structure like this up to modern code requirements?
I mean, it depends. If they have the insurance policy that there's allows for code upgrades, then it could be relatively seamless transition. If they do not have the policy, they have to pay out of their pocket. That can slow the process. You see in the city of Mount Vernon, a lot of these buildings that had fires and just standing still, meaning either there's something wrong with them. Either they collected the money and ran and never fixed it up, or they didn't have any money to fix it up. So I don't think that's the case for this building, but this is massive. This is probably talking about, $20 million, $30 million insurance policy on this property. Yeah, that's massive. That's what you're looking at here. For all the, I told you, the market value and insurable interest are two different things. This is a very massive, all the gas lines got to get tested. All the electrical has to be replaced due to the amount of water that was on that fire. It's a very, very, very big undertaking, especially when you start the reconstruction. You're going to have roads blocked off over there. The traffic is going to be tremendous. You can't, you're not, no one is carrying sheetrock up 6 or 7 stories. No, you're going to have the trucks
Cranes.
and then cranes and pass it through the window. So it's like, even though the building is still standing, it's going to be like a new construction project from the ground up once that is up. I mean, I believe all the framing got to get replaced in the building. It's a very, that fire burned 9 hours and millions of gallons of water was, it's for 8 hours. It's ridiculous. A lot of water.
8 to 9 hours. You just had water, and you had I think there was about 4 or 5 ladder trucks just gushing, just pouring water into that building.
I seen 5 at one point. I had heard that was 6, but I counted physically 5 at one point. I was like, wow. Yeah. I mean, they couldn't do anything, but just pour water from the roof and let it burn.
Right. It was definitely an all hands-on approach. And kudos to the Mount Vernon Fire Department, Hardsdale, Yonkers, Pelham Manor, I saw there, and New Rochelle, and all the others that were there, because they did work hard. I was out there with them, and I watched them, saw them, and it was definitely all hands-on approach.
Well, just another thing. I'm just saying that, and just another thing. The seller, if he doesn't have any mortgage, which he doesn't have to rebuild. He can just opt from the insurance proceeds and keep it moving. So that's another thing.
He could just run away from it.
Get the money from the insurance company, which he would get actual cash value.
Right.
And he could just, that's it. He can just take his money and have a nice day.
Residents also want to know when the official fire report will be released. How long does that process usually take, Sam?
It means relatively quickly, but the fire report is not going to be, it could be released to the owner, just going into the fire department. A regular member of the public, and these things just not released just like that. And a regular member of the public, have to fill out a FOIA request, through the city law department. But in light of arson, most fire departments do not label the cause of the fire. Most fires are undetermined. It is the insurance company that will give you an in-depth evaluation and let you know where the fire started, how the fire started. So the insurance company So the Mount Vernon firefighters or any fire local municipality, and it has to do the liability issues as well. They just can say they rule out arson. So as long as there's no arson,
right,
everything is covered. Insurance covers stupidity and negligence. So, for example, if you leave a candle on when you leave the house, let's say you leave your candle on and go to work, it's not illegal, it's not intentional. Yes, it was negligent and you will still get covered. But as long as it wasn't an intentional act, which the person did not intend, I don't think they did. The cook in the morning and says, I'm going to burn down the apartment building. I don't think that was their intention. It was an accident, but unfortunately this accident displaced about, over 200 residents. But, things happen. But the good thing is that there's no loss of life. I tell everyone, you can rebuild your future, but you can't rebuild your life. I mean, if your life is gone, it's gone. So let me just tell you the condition of the building right now. So there's no power, there's no electricity in the building right now, and there's no gas in the building whatsoever. It's not going to come back on for a long time until you follow the proper, paperwork with the city. So that's not happening. And there's no water in the building, water shut off in the building here.
Right.
So the building right now has no roof on it. You cannot tarp a flat roof. If it was like a pitch, you can put a tarp on. So it's a flat roof. So right now it's open. So what just happened last night? It rained. What happened this morning? It rained.
Yeah.
So you have the building exposed to the elements. And it's going to be exposed to that for some time until they figure out how to tarp a flat roof. So,
especially with the snow coming now.
No one has be able to tarp. They have to, build a temporary roof, which, I don't think they're going to do anytime soon. So you have moisture in it. So what would have been, and you have wood structures. So then you have mold. Mold is going to be a very, very big problem. That building is wet. Everything, I would say, they on the lower floors especially, all the ceilings are down. All the plaster. I mean, I can imagine. And where everything is down.
And for the record, you have not been in this building. You're just speaking from experience.
No, I've been there. I'm just from experience. I'm just trying to say is that I've been in buildings that they had less water on it, less time, less fire department activity. This was 9 hours.
Right. So now, so here we are. Now we have to look at the buildings department. Some residents have expressed concerns about the buildings department. Do you have confidence in the department? What role do they play in this? Let's start out with that. And do you have confidence?
Well, I would say it's not in the city's interest. Just so you know, I know people want to blame the buildings department, but the building department didn't start the fire. They can navigate it, but rest assured now, they have to come into compliance with today's code, which, today's code is very tough. The city, to this code, they may require a sprinkler now. So now if you had a sprinkler in this building, who knows? The fire may have not been as bad, and it may not have been a total loss. And that's the type of roofing. Codes have changed, so I guarantee you the type of roofing, the type of material, everything's going to be changed going forward. But it's not in the buildings department. So after a fire, the landlord is probably going to go to the tax assessor and apply, for an exemption saying this building was on fire, which will take probably effect January 2026, which means that he's getting less taxes. And the taxes, the proper tax is not going to go back onto the roll until the building is fixed up. So it's in the city's best interest to work with the homeowner to restore it, because I was just looking at that building was bringing in $100,000 in taxes. So being that it had a fire, now you probably go down to $20,000 a year in taxes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't know the exact number, but it's going to be, they're not be paying $100,000 in taxes. I can tell you that. So it's in the city. I mean, I have faith in the city, is widely publicized on the news. The biggest fire I would say that I've seen in Mount Vernon history. It's all eyes. I mean, the city is, yes, I do have faith in the city because this is their example to show that, they're up to the task.
Yeah, and I have to agree.
No one died in the building, so you got to commend the fire department and the police department knocking on their doors 2:00 in the morning, very cold, getting everybody out of there. So and it was a very bad fire, fast moving too. It looked like,
because it appears they're not going to be let back into this building for quite some time, right?
Oh, it is definitely not. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's at the landlord's discretion. It's at the landlord's discretion to make the repairs or not.
Right, but as far as placement, long term, residents are going to have to reach out to DSS.
If they may get help with a one shot deal where they get assistance with the security deposit, the brokerage fee, and the first month's rent. So and seek legal advice, because this is a rent stabilized building. I would they consult a landlord attorney. From my experience, the landlord does have to. He just can't flip it to market rate like that. So he still has to maintain, and
we're going to talk about.
And there's certain laws he has to follow. So I advise everyone to get in touch with their an attorney. And
we're going to visit that. But let me ask you this though, because I told the viewers we were going to talk about this, was the renter's insurance. I have renter's insurance. I think it's an underrated program. People need to understand, not only is it beneficial to you, but it's also cheap. It's not that expensive, right? Do you recommend
it? It's very cheap. It's very cheap. And, it's about $20 a month.
Yeah.
You spend, I see, people buy a cup of Starbucks coffee every day. So if you buy a cup of Starbucks coffee every day, you're looking at probably about $180 a month.
Right.
For 1 month of Starbucks, that was about a year of your renter's insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, you got, for example, something simple. Everyone is paying subscriptions now for Hulu, Netflix.
Yes.
You get rid of your Hulu subscription and you do it, like everyone's talking about generational wealth, but generational wealth doesn't start if you can't protect your belongings.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
People just need to prioritize.
A lot of people think, I think, from what people I spoke to the night of the fire and just these past few days, that when something like this happens, it's the building's responsibility to make sure that they have this, they have that, and that's not necessarily true, right?
Absolutely not. The landlord and his policy doesn't cover. Even if he wanted to give you something, if he did give you something, that's out of the kindness of his or her own heart. He doesn't have to give you anything. You're not entitled to anything. The landlord's policy only covers the structure. So it will cover the building, the interior, the apartment, the kitchen, the bathroom, the appliances, the cabinets, but it will not cover any of your personal property in the building. So it wouldn't cover any of your beds, your toys, kids' toys, any of that, things like that. That's why you get a renter's insurance policy. And it usually makes your car insurance go down if you have a renter's insurance policy.
Well, residents,
you get a $100,000 policy, which is fair. About $20-$25 a month.
Do you know if they're still letting people in intermittently to get some things and come out? I haven't heard anything.
I don't know, but they would probably contact the Department of Civil Defense. And he'll probably guide you to where you go. I mean, I drove by there yesterday, and it looks like the building was very secured. Every window on the first floor was boarded up very securely. Yep. So it looks like they, secured the building for, against intruders for the long term.
Right. So let's you had brought this rent stabilization up earlier, and this is also a concern too. For those that really, because I spoke to some people that transplant from the Bronx that wanted to get into more green life area, a different area, more suburban area. And there's some people that really want to stay, that want to come back. And, this is a rent stabilized building, which is rare these days. People are worried that after the fire, they may lose their homes, or that the building could return as a market rate. And so I bring that up.
It can't return as market rate. just like that. So they don't have to worry about that. But like I said, the landlord could choose to keep it vacant, make it an eyesore for years and years and years in Mount Vernon.
Just pause there, because right across the street is the house that was on fire, right there on Park and Sydney. And that's
so what I heard with that, the person had just bought that house and did not have insurance, and it caught fire.
Wow. So, a fire does not automatically end rent stabilization.
Like I said, they have to consult with an attorney, but I can tell you right now, the fire does not end rent stabilization. So they would get in touch, with they could also, a good resource with the United Tenants of Mount Vernon. That would be a very good resource for them to, for information. But, and if anyone does have renter's insurance in the building, and they need advice and need some help, that's what I do. I'm able to help them navigate this, monumental task of getting themselves back together.
Right. Maybe years more before we.
Maybe I would say a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Maybe
longer term temporary housing.
Yeah, this was not 2 months you going back into your building. Right. I can tell you that.
And document everything for insurance or for relief programs. That's important for them to do.
Right, but you got to get tested in the insurance company. The amount of the estimating you got to write up estimates for that whole building. It takes time. If they have insurance, you probably not going to get a check for at least 3 months.
Managing a major displacement event like we saw last Sunday is complex and very stressful for everyone involved. Clear communication, rapid mobilization of housing resources, and transparency about timelines are key. How do you think so far the mayor's doing with handling this?
She's doing very great, actually. A lot of resources, homeschool. Like I said, this never has happened in Mount Vernon on this scale. Right. So the homeschool is open, and the community is, it just got a hit. You had Hurricane Melissa just hit, and we have a lot of people of Jamaican descent in Mount Vernon. Yes. And then on top of this, so I'm very proud of Mount Vernon, how they're coming together with, two tragedies, so, awesome. You have this fire, and then you had Jamaica. So, the mayor's, doing what she do. She's the manager, pulling together. So, she's doing what she should do, she's doing, managing resources. And her background is in social services. So she excels in these, in these types of things.
Events. Right. I agree. And because there was a video with her and LaRocca from News 12, I thought it was a really good interview. Had a lot of good information.
Yeah, this is what she does. We have resources. People are pouring in on City Hall yesterday. People are bringing in donations by the boatload, and So I think these people have more than what they need now. I don't think there's going to be an issue with getting belongings and personal hygiene. The problem is housing. How fast can we find housing for people?
Right, they are, because they're anxious to get out of that school. Definitely.
Right. So that's the issue right now. But as far as the resources and cities come, that's not a problem. I think they're handling it very well. It's just that the housing, unfortunately, you have more people than you have housing available.
Right.
And, it's always difficult around the holiday time.
Let me ask you, though, because this is like the fourth fire so far this month. Weekly, we've been seeing some fires. Why are we seeing so many fires lately? Is this a pattern?
We have you have, different. I don't know what the causes of the fires are. So the instance, the one on the other, which I saw it burning as well on South 8th Avenue. It was a contractor using a blowtorch on the roof, which is illegal. He caused a fire and displaced the people. Tenants was doing nothing. The contractor did it, and which is
So
kind
that
of.
was a fire on 8th Avenue behind the church, next to the church over there.
Yes, that was right next there. So, different things. And another fire was electrical. We have old wires. So, different things. But it is fire season right now when it gets colder. There's more prone to fires, even though it's been, diminishing year after year. People were space heaters, overcrowding. So when people say that when the buildings department are cracking down on illegal apartments, it's for these instances so to prevent these things. So you can't, if you're overloading an electrical circuit with a space heater and microwaves and refrigerators, your circuit's going to get hot and it will cause a fire.
Right.
So it's not like the city is, hating on you and doesn't want you to make any money. It's for your safety. There's only a certain load that you can have. You can't, you have electricity for a single family, but you're operating as a 3-family. Something is going to happen.
Let's switch gears here. Before we end, I just want to get your perspective on a few things. We just had this fire, and I know that, resources and social services are going to be taking over, and those victims will be working with those outlets. But in December 1st, Monday, there's going to be a public hearing on the proposed 6.9 tax increase. And it is extremely concerning. The finances here in the city of Mount Vernon have become extremely concerning to a lot of homeowners and property owners with the sales tax increase. Property tax increase and low sales tax revenue. What's your perspective on this budget? Where are you at with this budget?
Well, I didn't really digest the budget, but you need taxes. So what the problem is, I always say, it's not the city only operates on 13 cents of the dollar. You have the city school district operating with 63 cents of the dollar. That is the problem. The city is, everyone's like, the mayor increased the salary, but, it's in line. The average commissioner in Westchester County makes $155,000. So, we're in line. You can't attract talent. So, that alone, the city is the problem. The city school district is the problem. And, they got to get their act together.
Some might say, well, wait a minute now. When you look at the condition the city is in, why would we want to give raises or pay for more? There has to be, the bang for the buck, right?
Yes, exactly. What I'm trying to say is that it's a gray area. It's a double-edged sword. You want the morale, people. You want to attract the talent. You want to keep the morale, and you want to deliver the services. So you got to find the balance, strike a balance, and deliver all three. So that's what. A manager, aka a mayor, should do. So you got to strike a balance. So the people don't think that they're getting the short end of the stick. But I do see them digging up the roads and replacing all the infrastructure. So infrastructure is very important. Water lines, gas lines, and then you can build the city. So I'm glad that we're doing this and not rushing to build, but we do need development to offset these taxes, specifically commercial taxes. Well, which a good use of space, in my opinion, would not be buying another boys club and putting it on. So you're taking a property that could generate maybe $200,000 in taxes or more, taking it off the tax roll to generate a boys club. That's just a poor decision. I don't understand.
You think we need more pilots? Do you think we should do more pilots?
Pilots are not bad. They need to be controlled. Pilots are built to draw in business, commercial business, not meant for residential, in my opinion. Let's say Target. You give business like that a pilot. Let's say, all right, 5 years. So I wouldn't give nobody 30 years.
That's what they're getting, because every 10 years they reapply, don't they?
We have we need to.
They've been getting approved all these years.
Well, we need to renegotiate our trade strategies going forward. The federal government right now is evaluating their trade partners with every nation, aka tariffs. Maybe we need to put some tariffs on these builders coming into Mount Vernon, and reevaluate these pilots. The president's showing us that tariffs could be a good thing. So maybe these developers, we need to have them pay some tariffs. They do it in the other cities. Let's say, for example, Pelham. The developer built a new building on Fifth Avenue. Everyone could drive by there. Yeah. So that they have a brand new police department.
Brand new.
It was built in a town hall. It was built by the developers.
Wow.
So that's it. They built the developers. They got, whatever they got, they built the town hall. We don't have anything there. Everyone's taken from Mount Vernon. So we need to have some type of tariffs or some types of, some type of enforcement to enhance Mount Vernon. We need to adopt a Mount Vernon first, policy.
Yeah. Because, Morton, I interviewed Morton a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned even recently at a public hearing that, the city is struggling with revenue. They're having a hard time making money. And, a lot of people, because I did a comparison of the taxes, and they were wondering, well, why is Yonkers and New Rochelle paying so low? It's because they've got a good sales revenue. The casino, the Cross County Mall, multiple downtown areas in Yonkers, New Rochelle with their development, downtown development. Unfortunately, Mount Vernon just got barbershops, laundromats, and
dollar stores.
Hey,
I have never seen, in comparison, which is not bad, I have never seen a barbershop, a beauty hair supply store go out of business in Mount Vernon.
Nope.
They just keep on opening up. So, and these people have the urge to look good here.
Yeah, these convenience stores, it's like 3 on a block, you see them.
So there's some disposable income here. So we need to find it. Like double parking. You ever drove by down 4th Avenue or Gramerton Avenue and all the cars double parked? I mean, these police need to get out their car and make it so expensive to double park. That's revenue.
It's revenue.
They're not, you have to, the money is not going to come to you. You have to go to it. So,
But they need to speak to the residents, to Joe Sixpack, that are saying, darn, they went up on my tax to 6%. Now I can't even go out and double park and run in and get a cup of coffee. They got to ticket me and take more.
Double parking, I don't condone double parking because one, I'm the one getting blocked in because I'm doing the right thing. And someone's double park, and then the people double park have the nerve to have an attitude.
Right.
That they blocked you in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous. So I make it my business to keep quarters. I always keep. And you have Pango in Mount Vernon. It's very convenient. Go on your phone, the app. And Mount Vernon is not. If you legally park, I'll tell you what, Mount Vernon is not the sharpest with enforcement. So you can pay at the meter. 9 out of 10 it could be free. Just you double park, you bring in a lot of attention to yourself, a lot of heat to yourself.
Right.
Like Gramerton Avenue, especially around the gym area, 4th Avenue, it's horrible. Horrible.
It is. Yeah, a lot of residents have been complaining about that. And that goes back to what we're saying about the raises and stuff. A lot of residents don't think it's justified. But, there are a few that are worried because, it was Andre Wallace that was at a recent public hearing and mentioned that the city is almost at $1 billion in debt. And a lot of feel like we could be facing bankruptcy. Do you think that's the case?
Well, I think some intervention. We're headed for some type of intervention, but it didn't start with. It started, back with Ernie Davis days.
Right.
But we are headed for some intervention, whether it be state or federal. I do believe that, and we could borrow. I believe I read something they want to bond and get some more money, and and
3 TAN. That's on top of the 7 million tan they did last year. So it's 7 and 7.
Right. And has our credit rating been restored yet? I haven't been following the news.
No.
Oh,
no, it hasn't.
Wow. So we're borrowing this money at astronomical cost.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
Makes
we
sense.
have a revenue, so how are we going to pay it back? We have a revenue.
I mean, if they start, making these people pay their ship. Listen, I can find a lot of revenue in Mount Vernon. Every business, and people are like, oh, you know what businesses? Listen, these businesses, they come to Mount Vernon, they're not in compliance. And it's usually the small businesses, the minorities, that are forced to be in compliance. Where these big businesses that have been there, maybe they have some political friends. They can do whatever they want. Like a banner. People think you have a business. A banner is not a letterhead for your business. That is not suitable.
Right.
The building department and every police officer who is empowered to write ordinances can write that as a ticket, and make it come into compliance. That's revenue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
so the problem is, I believe there was, I wouldn't say false, but it was non-realistic sources of revenue in the budget to balance the budget in terms of making the tax rate appear low.
And inflated projections, don't forget that. Yeah.
Right. So, but now you only can fool some people. So you can't fool the people all the time. So people, and then you can disguise it. Yes, now we have the taxes on the refuge and things like that. That's a separate tax. That's your raise the tax. But you only could do, you can't do it. To come to the fact that it's going to be to the fact that we're going to have a situation where you're not able to put gas in the police cars. It's going to come soon. Trust me. If we don't get it under, overtime. Someone told me overtime pay. It's ridiculous. If we are in a cash crunch, there should be no overtime.
Yeah, in the police department, they're over 3 million. That was back in March, so I'm sure it's probably twice that now. But I have to say,
some of these are just to be fair. A lot of this overtime is paid by the contractors, so we can't say. Let's say if Con Ed is doing something, the Con Ed will pay for overtime.
Well, no,
that's worked into the numbers for.
But I gotta say this. But I gotta say though, they're having a really issue with staffing over there, and the mayor mentioned it too. They're under their complement. I believe they're down at 150 at 158. So they're having a hard time staffing over there. Plus, that's the reason I was told this: if they would eliminate overtime from that PD, we will not have a police department. That's what I was told. That they have to have overtime going. And that's how that staffing is over there.
Yeah, I'm not really into the day-to-day personnel over there. I just look at numbers and see what it is. So, but they need to do something,
It's painful to see. But Sam, it's always great seeing you, speaking with you. It's good having you here at News Center.
No, it's my pleasure. And I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. It's unfortunate that what happened over there, but Mount Vernon's been pulling together. I'm very happy. I donated to a lot of causes, especially with Jamaica. I have a lot of Jamaican friends, and this tragedy happened. So it's
your family or friends down in Jamaica that were affected.
Oh, I got a lot of not that. Oh, yeah, actually, I know a lot of people that live there. Actually, but I have a lot of friends that this is Mount Vernon. You know someone, your neighbor, your friend is. We have a lot of Mount Vernon is like little Jamaica.
Well, Sam, I got to tell you, it's good seeing you.
Likewise.
See you. Yeah, definitely, man. And we got to have you back on maybe in a couple of weeks once we get more.
Any time. I'm going to be following this fire. And if anything, if someone reaches out to you and they need help navigating, the complex insurance claim, feel free to give them my number.
Absolutely. Definitely will. Sam Rivers, ladies and gentlemen. Samuel L. Rivers. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Take it easy.